Let's give it up for God tonight and the band leading us in worship. That was something else. The Blessing. Don't you love that song? It's been a minute since we've done that at Genesis Metro, and I gotta tell you, it's one of my faves. I have a lot going on at the moment. I'm just gonna scooch this out of the way. I just, what are you gonna do? I'm gonna kick that off for sure. That is not gonna make it through the night. So, hi everybody. Did you have a good time today? Did anybody go shopping or do anything fun? Did you just relax and hang out on a back porch somewhere? Oh, there you go. Okay, good. I'm glad. Tonight is our finale of our Sisterhood Conference 25. If you are just getting here tonight because you have all these things going on, we're so glad that you could come. And we know that tonight God is going to speak. If you don't know, we have a tradition about verses and about the word going out and you reaching in and God really speaking into your life. That God will absolutely put his hand on this moment. He will navigate you to the scripture page that he intends for you this year, whether it's something you need right now or something you may need in the coming months. Without a doubt, it works every time because it's been prayed over, it's been proven, and the word of God always speaks. Tonight, we're gonna wrap up what I can wrap up in Esther. We do not have time to go through all of it, but tonight, I've titled this message, that didn't go the way you thought it was gonna go. Anybody? That didn't go. Does anybody know the movie? We'll leave it. Kennedy knows, but she can keep it right there. The other guys, don't recommend it for families, but it is funny. So tonight, I thought I would start with a story about, have you ever been in a situation where something didn't go the way you thought it was going to go? A little nod. In my life, I don't mean to, but I create all my own illustrations, not intending to. And so when the boys were little, the older two, Silas was really small, so he did not get this treatment. He didn't have, the words to request it. But the older two, Jordan and Titus, were in older elementary. If you have a 3rd, 4th, or 5th grader, raise your hand. Look at all these older elementary moms. Okay, so you know the age. If you have a boy, 3rd, 4th, or 5th, raise your hand. Okay, always loud, just keep going till the end of the day and kill over. That's a boy. Anybody? They just keep going, and they have dirt all over them, and the bathroom smells funky, and the bed smells funky, and right? It just gets more sweaty and more gross as they go, believe me. But they had requested this summer, can you bleach, can you give us highlight tips? And I was like, well, I'm not paying that. I'll do it. Yeah, sure. It's summer. It's kind of when Frisco ISD decided that they weren't going to let anybody have crazy hair at school. I don't know why. Like in 2000, this would have been like 10. You weren't allowed to have any crazy hair at school. So I was like, summer's out. Can we get our hair bleached? So I was like, oh, yeah, sure. I can do it. How hard can it be? You just go buy the stuff and you do it, right? Well, I'm not a hairstylist, nor do I know anything about any of that. So I bleached their hair. I went full bleach. I didn't go just highlight tips. It went all the way. I didn't know what I was doing. And so then I'm like panicked, like, it's a little blonde. Sorry. And, they're looking at themselves in the mirror like, what did you do? They've just finished like 2nd and 4th grade, I think, somewhere in there, maybe 3rd and 5th, somewhere in that age range. So 8, 10, right? And so I was like, you know what? Let's just get summer, let's just buzz it for the summer. And then we can just start over in August. It'll all be grown out by August, but besides, who needs hair? And it's sweaty and it's 107 degrees outside. Let's just get rid of it. So then I buzz it because also back then I didn't pay for haircuts. I'm like, you're a boy, you're young, who cares? We're just buzzing this right off. Boy moms can get away with a lot, right? A lot. So just buzz it off. Well, when I did that, their scalps were revealed. And what had happened was their scalps each reacted to the bleach in a different way. Jordan's head looked like a world globe. Go ahead and show Jordan's head. Titus's head looked like he had a head injury. Go ahead, show Titus. I'm not making this up. This really happened. And they were kind of like, it burns, Mom, it burns. I was like, it's fine. I know. So I called a friend who was a hairstylist, and I said, this is a situation. She's like, bring them over here. She put some sort of counter acid on it or something, and it basically it bleached the scalp so that the scalp was all one color with the bleached hair follicles, and that did not go the way we thought it was gonna go. They did not ask me to ever do their hair ever again. Don't touch me, get away from me. And I didn't get away with any more like, I'll just buzz it off. No, they were like, no. You've had your fun, go away. Did not go the way we thought it was gonna go, but it makes for a funny story, you know? So we have been in the book of Esther, and we're going to wrap up tonight, and I thought we would just review our cast of characters. As you've seen, they're going to put it up here. We have, of course, the king Xerxes, and he is the king of the Persian Empire. We also have Vashti, the former queen, which we heard a lot about this morning, and we have Esther, who's the adopted orphan Jewish girl from Susa. Mordecai is her cousin, and he works at the gate, her adopted dad, and then also we have Haman, right? We heard about him, the king's right-hand man. He kind of runs the country. He's in charge of the empire. And we also talked about the subplots that we have going on. We have too many things to focus on. Subplot 1 was Vashti's demise. Subplot 2, I don't want to get it wrong, is Haman and Mordecai's feud, which we talked about this morning. And then 3, we also talked about is Haman's plan to destroy the Jewish people, right? And so when we get into that, there's a lot going on in the story of Esther. And if you've never read it, I hope you'll never look at it the same. If you have, I hope you'll never look at it the same, and you will understand. Now, this morning we ended with her saying, okay, fine, I'll go before the king, but this is what we're gonna do first. You're gonna pray for me. You're gonna pray for me. You're gonna fast. And I need you to pray because I'm scared. I'm gonna get my people to fast and pray. And we're all gonna fast and pray, and we're gonna ask God to do something that we don't think is possible, but we're gonna ask him to please extend my life. And at the end of the 3 days, then I will go before the king in that courtyard, and I will stand, and I will ask for the salvation of his people. And look what it says in 5:1. Go ahead and put the screen up. I'm way back here. Y'all can turn around. You don't have to look straight. You can do whatever you want. On the 3rd day, she dressed in her royal clothing, and she stood in the inner courtyard. I want you to let your mind go there. Imagine the scene. This is essentially a palace garden. You think of like curated hedges that are 6 feet tall, all sorts of things, all the aerial views we see of like an English palatial countryside, but this is a curated garden. So she's gonna stand, there's multiple courtyards, there's multiple places. They're all called something very specific. There are very certain types of people that are allowed in certain places. So she's going to the inner courtyard, which would be the area just outside what's called like the throne room. And that's where you're not allowed to go unless the king has summoned you himself, man or woman, it does not matter. So on the 3rd day, now remember, they have fasted and they have prayed. And on the 3rd day, she gave herself a deadline. She dressed in her royal clothing. There's an entire description of what that would be. Very intricate. It would not have been a short process. It would have taken a few hours to get dressed. And she stood in the inner courtyard of the palace facing it. Just let that sink in. She is terrified. And the king is sitting on his royal throne in the royal courtroom facing its entrance. So then if we stay right there, he's inside. We have to imagine the throne in the throne room would be in the center of the room in alignment with the doorway and the entryway that would go out into this inner courtyard meant for the king. So he's sitting on his throne way down there, and she's standing at the opposite end of that inner courtyard, and I wonder if she is reciting what she knows of David. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He makes sure that I'm walking on the right path. Even though I might walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I know that he is with me because his rod and staff, they comfort me. He prepares a table before me in the presence of my enemies. My cup overflows. Surely, God, your goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, even if this is the last one. And I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Whom shall I be afraid? And suddenly, verse 2 says she stands there. And as soon as the king saw her from his throne room, through that entryway, past the courtyard at the other end, she gained favor with him. And that's because the Spirit of God fell on her. And he extended the gold scepter in his hand toward her. And that's when she knew she'd begin to approach. And as she would touch the tip of that scepter, it would be her accepting that he accepted her. And all the way down, she's saying, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He restores my soul. He leads me beside quiet waters. He is my light and my salvation. Whoever should I be afraid? God is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I fear? She gets more bold with every step until she gets to the front and she can touch the edge of that scepter and she can know this is not the day that she will die. Not today. Because God, Yahweh, has shown up for her just as he said that he would. That is our God. Come on. And then he asked her, what is it? What can I do for you? What is it that you need? What is it? Anything you want, up to half the kingdom. He's essentially saying, there is nothing too big for you to ask me for. You can ask for anything. You can ask for, there's nothing you can't ask. And she stands there in full relief. And what I love is the courage to stand unlocks the door that enables you to keep standing. She will not go down this day because she has stood in the name of the Lord and taken the brave step to be the only one who would dare go before a king who would demand a list of checks in order for you to come in front of him, but not today because God is with her and he is smiling on her. And I want you to hear her response because there's wisdom in a well-timed wait. She could blurt out everything. Don't you know she wanted him to know as soon as possible what was happening? She needed him to know what was going on. She needed him to understand how evil Haman really was. But she didn't blurt it out. He says, what do you want? Anything, up to half the kingdom. Verse 4. If it pleases the king, she says, may the king and Haman come today to the banquet I have prepared for them. What in the world? She invites them to dinner. And he says, oh, yeah, we'd love to. You just feel like, sometimes you just go, is that all it took for this guy to soften up a little bit? He did so readily sign this thing with a signet ring. A couple times he signed some things that people are just feeding him. So I think he's easily swayed. I'm just going to put that before you. He sees her beautiful, figure and her and who she is. And he's like, oh, we'd love to come to dinner. Hurry, get Haman. He says, hurry up, get Haman. And they go and get him. And here they come. They go to dinner, right? Verse 5 says, hurry. And they go and they're drinking at dinner, of course. And it's like, while he's still drinking the wine. Verse 6, this guy, I wanted to bring a wine glass up here, but I thought it wouldn't be good for optics, so I did not. While drinking, the wine king asked, whatever you would like, whatever. Again, there's nothing too big. You can ask for anything. I'll give you anything up to half my kingdom. I want to be like 50% or 51%, 49%. Is this a negotiation? Again, I have questions. And she says, this is my petition and request. Here it comes. Well, she says, can you come to dinner tomorrow night? And you wonder, is she like, I can't do it. I can't. Anybody? Because this guy, he's here. Now, also this wisdom that she possesses to invite him and Haman. Does anybody go, why? I'm going to tell you something. In leadership, as a pastor's family, oftentimes people have opinions about what we should or should not be doing. Should or should not be saying, should or should not be preaching, all the things, right? And sometimes stories get told that are just simply not true. Narratives get created. What I have found is in the absence of a good story, somebody can make up a good story. You know what I'm saying? And it's not all the time. It's here and there. But what I've learned is Tim will often say, I'd love to get together about that. I'd love to answer your questions. Because what will happen is people will make things up, and then inevitably someone out there will say, I heard da-da-da, I want to know, is this true? And Tim will say, I would love to sit down and talk with you about that. Would you invite your friend who told you this? And please come with us. We can all sit in the same room, and so we can all make sure we're on the same page. Because let's have all parties involved, because then it's going to be you're answering questions, but then that person is going to go back to the other person and relay your words, speak for you to them. Do you think anything gets lost in this chaos? So the wisdom for her to say, why don't you bring Haman with you? You guys come over for dinner. So when he says, well, Queen Esther, what you invited me here, you have a request. What is it? Well, could you come tomorrow night? Could you come back tomorrow night? So, yeah, of course. Now, before we get into that, because she invites him back, the first night, they're leaving 5:09. We get into 9. This is the foolishness of this man Haman. I mean, this guy, he is something else. The foolishness of a fame-fueled fantasy. You see that alliteration? Tim Bourne, he trained me, you know? This man, you just think some people, they don't learn. You know, where is this guy going to stop? Look at the self-importance. Ready? Of verse 9. Look what he says. He's leaving. They're leaving for dinner. They've left from dinner for that first night. And he says, that day Haman left full of joy and in good spirits. That's because he was having a good wine. But when Haman saw Mordecai at the king's gate, and Mordecai didn't rise or tremble in fear at his presence. Now we've moved to you didn't bow down to me, or you didn't stand up to honor me, because he's sitting as the gatekeeper, and now you're not trembling in fear. Haman was what? Say it out loud. Say it again loud. Filled with rage. We've seen this behavior before. Patterns, behaviors. Here we go. And he went home. He told his wife and his friends all about it. And they said, oh, I can't believe this. Indignant, right? We were the only ones invited. And it was so wonderful and blah, blah, blah. He's going on and on and on and on about how wonderful the dinner was. And then he gets to, but Mordecai would not stand up and honor me at the gate. And his wife Zeresh and all the friends in 14 said, you know what you should do? You should just get rid of this guy. Why are we waiting for the day of the slaughter that's coming? Why don't you just have a gallows built 75 feet tall, which would not have been what we're thinking. Gallows, we're thinking, is a hanging apparatus, but it was more like an impalement apparatus. That's what their gallows was. 75 feet tall, that's tall. 75 feet tall, and let's just get rid of it tomorrow. Let's just get rid of him, get rid of the problem. Then you can go to the banquet with the king and enjoy yourself. Just enjoy yourself. And Haman liked that. So he had the gallows constructed. Subplot 4, Mordecai saves the king's life. We're going to go backwards a little bit. I left this out this morning because I wanted to get to it tonight. But you don't know that God's been working in the background. Pause where we're at. Haman thinks this is it. He's got a plan. He's going to get rid of this guy Mordecai. But he doesn't know what God has already been doing in the background. You ever been at a place in your life where you do think you have it all figured out, or somebody has it all figured out against you, only to realize sometime in that you had no clue God was working on a subplot that was going to provide everything you needed and more, but it was going to be years later. Has that ever happened? It's kind of amazing when you realize God has shown up and you didn't even know it. That's what he does. That's what he does. Now, when we realize it, we've got to give him the glory, but that's who our God is. Look at this. Back in chapter 2, this is courage that doesn't need credit. This is just doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do. When it comes to who Mordecai is, a character profile that is provided for us about this man. He didn't have to do anything about this, but he did, and he saved the king's life. Esther 2:21, it says, during those days, while Mordecai was at the king's gate, Bigthan and Teresh, 2 eunuchs who guarded the king's entrance, became infuriated. We don't know why. Everybody's angry. Anger, they need some therapy. And planned to assassinate King Xerxes. When Mordecai learned of the plot, he reported it to, now remember, Queen Esther. She's just become queen. This is really just following this. So this has been a bit. And she told the king on Mordecai's behalf. And when the report was investigated and verified, both men were found guilty and they were hanged on the gallows, the impalement rod, essentially. And this event was recorded in historical record. That is important because, I don't know if you know, it was a common practice. If the king could not sleep, he was restless. They did not have Ambien. They did not have melatonin. They did not have sleepy time tea. I mean, maybe they did. They probably had tea, I don't know, Persia. But he couldn't sleep. And he's like, can someone read me a story? Literally. And they would pull out the chronicles, essentially. And it was the record of events of the city. Just a random day. Like, well, today the traffic on El Dorado was backed up from Genesis Metro Church all the way to the tollway because of a tiny spot in the road they're fixing. You might want to avoid it on your way home tomorrow night. It would be things like this, okay? It would be a lot like they're finally going to get the tollway improvement package completed on El Dorado and the tollway. Nope, never mind. They're starting another one. That's it. Never mind. Okay. This is the kind of stuff it would be. It would be the goings on of the city. And, you know, that would bore anyone to death to sleep. So here we go. He's like, can somebody read to me something? 6. That night, sleep escaped the king. He ordered the book of recordings. This is 4 chapters later, years later, to be brought out and read to the king. They found, what'd they find? The written report of how Mordecai had informed on these 2 men. I'm not going to try their names one more time. And when they planned to assassinate the king, and the king said, this guy saved my life? Who is this? He don't know nothing, you know? Who's this? What did we do about this? What did we do to honor this man who saved my life? What did we do for him? And you know what they say? Nothing. Nothing's been done. Nothing was done, my king. It's nothing's here. There's nothing written. I don't think we did anything. Now, what I want you to know is God remembers what we release, what we let go of. So I did this thing, bless me, God. I did the right thing. Where's the blessing? I did what you wanted me to do, but I'm still waiting on the favor you promised me. I'm still waiting on the raise. Doesn't this guy, this boss, this company know how much money I'm saving the company? Where's my blessing for doing the right thing? We want a trophy for doing the right thing when God says, just do the right thing and I'll decide when to pass it out. I'll decide when the favor gets poured out because it should always be at a strategic moment that he's passing that out, that you learn the most that you can learn from it, or else it might be wasted because we are human and we are flesh and we miss things all the time. So to stand and try to demand from God, there's this releasing that must take place. So God remembers when we do that. You do the right thing, you faithfully follow me, and that's when you're faithful in private and the favor is going to show up in public like we talked about last night, and we see it here one more time. Oddly, when this conversation is happening in 1 through 3, Haman is standing in the hallway. All right, it literally says, then there was a noise. And they said, who's that in the hallway? It's Haman. Oh, bring Haman in. Now, Haman does not know what has just occurred. And you remember that he left in good spirits last night. And he is so happy with himself because he also didn't sleep because he was busy overseeing the new project going on right outside in the courtyard with the 75-foot gallows impalement pole being erected to kill his mortal enemy, the first of many that he will be getting rid of. Haman enters, and the king says, just listen to the dripping irony. Just listen. It's just dripping off the words. Now, Haman thinks the king is talking about him. And the king is not talking. He's talking about Mordecai. But have you ever done that where one person is speaking and the other person is interpreting this in a completely different, opposite way? This is beautiful. Haman enters, and the king says, what should be done for the man that the king would most like to honor? What should we do for him? And what does Haman think? This guy. Haman thought to himself, don't you love the Bible? Look at it. Who else could he be talking about besides me? I'm amazing. I'm amazing. Who else could it be besides me? These are things that if your thoughts were written down in the Bible forever, you'd be mortified, right? Be like, thank God it is not written out. But he thinks to himself, who else could he want to honor more than me? I'm amazing. And Haman tells the king, this is what I think you should do for the man you most want to honor. This would be just, chef's kiss. Haman tells the king, for the man the king most wants to honor, have them bring a royal garment that the king himself has worn, and put a horse that the king himself has ridden, and put a royal crown on his head, put the garment and the horse under charge of one of the king's most noble officials, have them clothe the man the king wants to honor, parade him on the horse through the city square so everyone can see and proclaim before him, this is what is done for the man the king most wants to honor. This is what is done for the man the king most wants to honor. And you just imagine, like, he's imagining all of this before him. This is what we do for the people the king most wants to honor, whatever it is. This is in his mind. Have you ever made up stories in your mind of how this is going to play out, and it doesn't play out like that at all? Some might call me Clark Griswold at Christmas. I create the moment of Christmas morning, and they're opening their Christmas pajamas as if they're shocked that we've gotten Christmas pajamas once again. And they love it, and they hug me and celebrate. And really, it's like everybody couldn't be here tonight. So I'm like, I'm putting your pajamas in your mailbox. When you do come over, make sure you wear them so we can get a picture, right? I mean, like, that's how it kind of goes. But we create these pictures in our minds of things, and then we get really disappointed when it doesn't happen. And he's about to have the most disappointing moment of his life. Verse 10, and the king says, I love it. Hurry, and do just as you described. Dude, I love it. Let's do it. Everything. Take a garment and a horse for who? One more time, for who? Go ahead, who is sitting, he's at the gate. By the way, if you didn't know where he works, that's where he works. Do not leave out anything you've suggested. Don't you wish you could be a fly on the wall? Don't leave one thing out. And I love that it's just like, so Haman took the garment and the horse. It clothed Mordecai. I'm like, did Haman write this? He gave it to Mordecai. He doesn't describe that moment. He gave it to him. He paraded him through the city square. And like, did Haman himself, this is what is done for the man the king most wants to honor. This is what we do for the people we want to honor. Okay. We did our thing. Go back to work. Because it says in 12 that the king that Mordecai returned back to the gate. He just went back to work. He's like, what are we doing? What? Okay, I'm gonna get back to work now. You can go away, Haman. I don't like you. You don't like me. You can just go on. But Haman, overwhelmed, hurried off because he's mad, head covered in shame, and he goes home to that wife of his, Miss Encouraging. She's like another Jezebel. I can't even say her name right. Zeresh, I don't know. Haman tells her, all his friends, everything that happened, and his advisors, and Zeresh said to him, since Mordecai is Jewish and you've begun to fall before him, you're not going to overcome him. You can't beat him. I think it's you that's going to die. she is a piece of work. Yeah, you're not going to be able to beat him, so this isn't going like you thought it was going to go, is it? While they were still speaking, the eunuchs come in because guess what? It's time for him to go to dinner with the queen and the king. So they come in, they grab him, and his wife has left him, or she has like sent him away with these encouraging words. And now we have the courage that Esther is going to need. But do you see everything that God has done in the background of this story? So she has summoned up enough courage to stand at the other end of that inner courtyard and muster up bravery to wait to die or live. But either way, I know I'm going to dwell in the house of the Lord forever. But I'm here for such a time as this, God. I'm here. And then he lets her pass through. And then he says, what do you want? I'll give you anything. You don't have, nothing is too big. Come to dinner. They get to dinner. He's sauced up again. And he says, what do you want, Esther? Anything. Come to dinner tomorrow night. Now we're at dinner number 2. A bunch has happened in the last 24 hours with the other dinner guest, Haman. Do you think she knows any of that? No. She is not living life with Haman, hanging out with Zerash. No, I don't think so. That's not her bestie. She does not know what has been happening, but there is one that does know. Every single player in this story, this cast of characters that we've become familiar with, he knows every heart. He knows every thought. He made sure we knew some of the thoughts. He knows the entire thing. And so she just thinks, I'm here doing what my uncle has counseled me to do, what people have prayed and fasted for, and somehow they said I can do this, and I've said yes to God, and now I'm going to do it. I'm going to ask. And you see her have the courage to confront the corruption that she is sitting in the middle of, that really she doesn't even know the extent of how bad it really is. And in this world that we live in, I wonder if we have a picture of how bad it is out there, but do we really know how bad it is? No. We don't know how bad it really is, but we know the one who knows, because our who knows has already turned into I know the one who will do it, and I know Yahweh, and I know that he will provide. So look at 7, the king and Haman, they come to the feast. Once again on the second day, while drinking wine, thank you, Bible, for the details, the king asked Esther, what do you want? What can I give you? What would you request of me? Whatever you want, up to half the kingdom, it's yours. And she says, here we go. If I have obtained your approval, my king, and if the king is pleased, spare my life. I wonder how shocking it was to hear him say that. What could she be talking about? This is my request. Please also spare my people. This is my desire, my heart's desire. If you're asking me what I really want, that's what I want, because my people and I have been sold out to destruction, death, and extermination. If we had merely been sold as male and female slaves, I would have kept silent. It wouldn't have been important enough to bother the king. But because our death has been ordered, I'm coming to you. And King Xerxes stands up from where he has been relaxing, drinking wine, having gone through all the courses of dinner, and now they're just having the dessert wine. And he says, who is this that would devise such a scheme against my wife, my queen? Who has done this? And he's right there in the room. And she says, the adversary and enemy is the evil Haman. And that all the air is sucked out of the room. It goes on to say that the king stands up and leaves the room like he needs to count to 10. It says he's so angry, he leaves the room. And I just think, you're just like, I'm going to take a minute. Anybody ever been with your kids or your husband and you're like, you know what, I need a moment. I'll be right back. Sometimes when the kids were little, Tim would say, I think you need to go count to 10, Mom. Maybe we need to count to 10. And back away, back away, back away from the child, right? And so you understand that anger can take over, and he's so angry, he stands up. Now it is silent. She says, it's Haman. He has ordered our destruction. And he stands up and he just walks out of the room. It goes on to say that Haman, now terrified, she's like sitting on a couch thing, and he falls over her begging for his life. And as the king walks back in, he assumes that Haman is trying to sexually assault her. It literally says this, go read it. And he says, oh, the destruction of my queen is not enough. You want to rape her before you kill her? Absolutely not. And he calls for the men that are the guards, the noble officials of the palace, and he says, take this Haman and you go hang him or impale him on those gallows just as he had planned to do. And they hang him on it right then and there, right then, that moment. There's no delayed sentencing. God will provide. God will provide. That's what he does for such a time as this. What we see is the payback of providence, or we see that God always provides providence. We can say this a million different kitschy ways, but what we do need to understand is that if you let these things go and you release it to God, he will right the wrongs that need to be righted. He will show up for you and defend your character. He will also make a way so you never experience that again. He will shut the mouth of the lion. He will make sure you are provided for. You align your heart's desires with his desires. You will get everything that you want because you're in alignment with Yahweh, the God who can. That is our God. There is nothing else in this world that you need besides him. That just did not go the way Haman thought it was gonna go. Because for such a time as this, who knows that you have not been called to this position? So in your life, you have a choice to make. I don't want you to leave here not having identified at least one thing, just one. Start with one habit, one behavior, one relationship, one burden. When you're weary, when you're tired, when you decide, I don't think anybody cares. You decide one thing that God wants to do in your life. Don't sit in it, let him have it. And then you do have to back away so he'll work on it. Because if you try to take it back, which we like to do, and then we find ourselves the next time we're in a worship service and they're like, what's something you can give up? You're giving the same thing up again, but in a couple days you're going to take it back. Because he ain't working fast enough. But he's always working. What I know from following God in my own life for, I'm almost 50, 30 years, is this. When I'm not where I need to be in alignment spiritually, it doesn't mean he has paused his work around me. It's that my eyes aren't open spiritually and I can't see it. But that's on me. He's always working around me. My role in this relationship is to be so aware, seeking him, where I'm saying, tell me where you're working so I can join you where you're working, so I can do my part. That's what our part is. That's what I know. And in that, God provides you with opportunities you would have never had, because he just starts opening doors and he starts caring for you and he starts making it happen. He is the way maker. It is important that you understand that. You might be out of alignment, but God never is. He is the one that will bring you what you need. You do one thing. Take one step, let go of one thing, admit one thing, and just see if that's the thing he does not start to answer. Would you stand as we worship and we go to God and we ask him for all that he's going to do, even still in this space tonight? God, you are the one who makes every way possible. You are the one who will open our eyes. You are the one who will shut down our enemies. You are the one who will lead us beside the paths that we need to be on. You are the one that will restore marriages. You are the one that will take our kids' hearts and shape them to be in alignment with you. You are the one that will speak into our lives when no one else can. You are the one, God, that will take my heart that's broken in a million pieces and put it back together and make sure that I know that it was you all along. You are the one, God, who can take my grief and turn it in to joy. You can take my tears and you can turn them in to dancing. You can take all of my doubts and all of my insecurities and all my behaviors that come with that mess up every relationship I ever have, and you can steady my heart so that peace resides in me instead of chaos. You can do that. I know that you can. So what is it that you need him to do tonight? What is it that you'll ask for more of? Because as we mentioned last night, Ephesians 3:20, God can do more than you can imagine, ask, or think. He can do so much more. And God, we know you're providing. So speak into this room. Let's worship.